Okay, so hi, good evenings. So welcome to another analysis of Endeavor Open Mock MHCET for MMS. Now, if we talk about this particular paper, right? Uh, in this paper was quite similar to what actual MHCET was, right? This paper really came very close to what actual MHCET was, right? So we really hope you had fun while taking the test, and you by now you would have also analyzed the paper on your own. Okay. So now let's get going with the analysis. So looking at the looking at the pattern of the paper, there were 50 questions of verbal ability and reading comprehensions, 75 questions of logical reasoning, 25 questions of abstract reasoning. Quant and data interpretation had 50 questions, so that made a total of 200 questions, right? But the change this time, rather than this EOM, was that of time limit, right? So the time limit for this EOM was 120 minutes because MHCT itself has decided that it will reduce its time from normal 150 minutes to 120 minutes. You get +1 for every correct answer, and as usual, there's no negative marking in the MHCET, right? So first we'll talk about verbal ability and reading comprehension. Then we shall talk about logical reasoning and abstract reasoning, and then at last we talk about quant. And finally, by the end of the session, we'll be able to come up with percentile and score correlation, or rather, what should have been your attempt in each of the sections. Right. So let's start with the verbal ability. Now, the fact that uh, this particular paper, yeah, mocks from now, yeah, MHCT from now on is going to be of 120 minutes. Now that is going to put a lot of pressure on sections which are in which you have to read a lot, right? Say, for example, verbal itself, you have to read the reading comprehensions. Uh, Somewhere on the lines, reasoning as well, wherein you have to read all those long puzzles, right? So definitely the cutoffs for these sections will also reduce accordingly. Okay? And our strategy for attempting such sections would also change. So now if you look at this paper, right? If you look at this paper, the verbal section, this in this paper had 15 questions of reading comprehensions and 35 questions of verbal ability. But the change for this paper, if you compare it with the previous one, that these 15 questions of reading comprehensions were spread across only two passages, right? Whereas in the previous paper, you had three passages. So, and a good thing in this paper was the passages were not at all lengthy, right? So there was first passage about the judiciary system in the United States, right? There were 10 questions, and the length of the passage was what? Somewhere closer to 400 words, right? And 10 questions, most of them were direct questions, right? You could have read the questions first and then found the answers, right? So somewhere on the lines, ये 10 क्वेश्चन में से 8 क्वेश्चन बहुत आसानी से अटेम्प्ट हो जाते. You would have been able to attempt these 8 questions probably in 8 to 10 minutes, right? Then when we move to the next passage was of international affairs, slightly lengthy if we compare it to the previous one, and there were only 5 questions. But out of those 5 questions, 4 were easy, right? But then you had inferential questions. You had one main idea based question. You had one inference. You had two inference based questions, right? So I would say better leave out this passage, right? Agar previous passage, mein if you have managed to attempt 8 out of 10 questions, I would say leave out this passage for time being. Okay. Now, the surprising element in this paper was grammar. Because yes, verbal ability ke there were 35 questions, but out of those 35 questions, around 20 questions were based on grammar. Around 20 questions were based on grammar. So this is something that can happen in actual MHCT as well. Actual MHCT में भी ऐसा कहीं decided नहीं है कि grammar के 10 ही question आएंगे, vocab के भी 10 ही question आएंगे. ठीक है? It could be mix and match. It could be mix and match. right? So probably this paper would have broken that preconceived notion कि चलो ग्रामर के तो 10 या 15 ही क्वेश्चन आते हैं, अपने वोकैबलरी या पैराजम्बल्स पे ज्यादा कॉन्सेंट्रेट करते हैं, ठीक है? सो ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता, right? So now in grammar there were few easy questions, there were easy pickings, right? जैसे preposition based fill in the blanks, question 171, 172 and 173 were quite easy, right? Error detection was a bit challenging, right? Only two easy questions over there, question 175 and 192. Okay. Replacing the underlined part was, I would say, moderate to easy. When you say question 179 to 181, and then you had one easy question in question 199 towards the end of the paper, right? And then there were then you had those questions in which you are supposed to choose the correct version of the same sentence, right? So there were three of them. Again, towards the end of it, question 200, question number 200 was quite easy, right? So all in all, ग्रामर के ये क्वेश्चंस थे. इसके अलावा देयर वाज सेंटेंस कंप्लीशन, मैच द फॉलोइंग बेस्ड क्वेश्चंस, जो पांचों के पांचों बहुत आसान थे, जो पांचों के पांचों बहुत आसान थे. So out of 20 questions of grammar, out of 20 questions of grammar, you could have easily attempted 10 to 12 questions. Right? Out of 20 questions of grammar, you could have easily attempted 10 to 12 questions. Then, moving ahead. Uh, so definitely अगर grammar बढ़ जाता है तो vocabulary कम हो जाएगी, ठीक है? So in vocabulary, you had three questions. Rather, you had one question on synonym and two questions on antonyms. Right? The words I would say were moderate. Someone who has had a good reading practice would not have faced any problems with these words. Right? On the other hand, idioms were easy. Question 169 and 170. Right? दोनों idioms सुने हुए थे. Then, so now when we talk about parajumble over here, right? So there were 5 questions of parajumble, but it was really difficult to arrange the set, right? The only link that you could find in a very short time, probably in the first 10 seconds or first 20 seconds of reading the passage, is that B and C are somehow related. That is, sentence B and sentence C are related. And there was one question on it, which was question 152, right? So what I would rather want is instead of spending time in arranging all of these, right? कोई दो का block बन गया. If you manage to find a link between two of them or three of them, and if you have a question related to them, then I would say फटाफट से वो question answer करो and move out of it, because you only have 120 minutes in this version of the MHCET, right? And there's no kind of, it does not make sense to sit around and arrange all those 5 sentences when you could easily see that sentence arrange करना इतना आसान नहीं. Particularly this particular passage was abstract. It talked about narration, it talked about humor, right? Then surprisingly, in this set, we had two questions of odd one out or out of context, right? Wherein you are given 4 sentences and you're supposed to choose one sentence which does not fit the paragraph, right? One of them was really very moderate, right? That is, you needed patience to read it. You needed patience to it. It was talking about some form of music. Okay, the passage was talking about some form of music, classical music, right? And there was one option which talked about film music. So someone who would have been patient enough and read those lengthier sentences and found that one film sentence to be, right, one sentence related to the Indian films, then you could have easily selected that and that could have been your answer, right? So यहाँ पे पैराजम्बल एंड ऑड वन आउट, आई वुड से कि यार 3 क्वेश्चन कर लेते, ठीक है? So all in all, if I talk about the verbal section, right, there were somewhere around 26 easy questions. Now because the time limit has reduced over here, okay, I would out of 26, I would recommend कि यार 21 या 22 attempts हो जाए. There were around 18 moderate questions, out of which I would have expected you to attempt around 8 questions or 5 questions at least. Right? There were 5 difficult questions. पांचों के पांचों छोड़ देते, no big deal. Right? So question limits were decreased from 26 to 30, and time limit now reduces from our normal 35 to 40 minutes in verbal section to 25 minutes. Right? This year MHCET is 120 minutes. So time limit in each of these section is going to time limit that you allocate to each of these section is going to go down. Right? So please keep that in mind. So that was all about the verbal section. Next, what we had was the LR section. Now, in LR section, around 20 questions were based on verbal reasoning and 55 questions were based on analytical reasoning. Right. So again, when you look at the verbal reasoning part over here, there was a surprising element that there were no questions on statement and assumptions. There were no questions on statement and assumptions. So again, don't go with that mindset कि हमने जो सीखा है या हम जो expect कर रहे थे वही पूछा जाएगा. Right? If you don't get what you were expecting, ठीक है, move on, work on, try scoring on what is asked in the exam. Right? So there were 3 questions of cause and effect, wherein you were given 2 sentences and you had to identify whether one is the cause of second or second is the cause of one, or both of them are independent causes or both of them are independent effects. Both of them were quite easy. Right? एक question number 60, which was a moderate one. I would say moderate because people would not have been able to, because both of the sentences were not related. दोनों, neither one was the cause or effect of the other. Right? So that identifying that could have taken time. Statement and course of action, all 3 questions were easy, okay, and should have been attempted. Syllogisms, there were 7 questions, right? And this time syllogisms had 3 statements, right? This time syllogisms had 3 statements, so that would have made it more time consuming, right? So out of 7 questions, and the reason that we are rating it moderate is simply because there were 3 sentences in each of the questions, right? Otherwise, this could have been easier, right? So out of 7 questions, you would have attempted around 4 questions. So 4 question यहाँ पे, 4 question यहाँ, 5 question यहाँ पे. So that would have been 9 attempts. And then the lengthier part of verbal reasoning, which is critical reasoning, right? So statement assumption nahi aaya, so what happened is critical reasoning increased and syllogisms also increased, right? So all in all, I'm personally am not a big fan of uh, spending a lot of time in reading passages, okay, particularly as far as MHCT is concerned, right? If this would have been any other paper like CAT or ZAT or something, then I would recommend that you're supposed to read this. But this is MHCT. You're supposed to. There's no sectional cutoff. You're supposed to maximize your score in your best of the sections, right? So critical reasoning, there were 6 questions. I would say 3 कर लेते, ठीक है? I would say 3 questions कर लेते, right? So all in all, as far as the verbal part of logical reasoning section is concerned, I would say I would give it 10 minutes and try to attempt around 9 or 8 questions or even 10 questions if you're fast enough, when if you have a good reading speed, right? So that is as far as verbal section and verbal reasoning part is concerned, right? For the rest of the analysis, I'll invite Anshuman sir to take over the session.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So guys, now let's talk about the rest part. Deepak sir already explained about the verbal section as well as the verbal part of the reading section. Now I'm going to talk about the rest of the questions and rest of the things related to the paper. Okay. So first thing, let's see the question mapping that I did related to your this one LR section. So and then that's why what I did here this time, like along with the question, along with topic, difficulty level is DL and time consumption is TC. So if I'm writing M, so that means this is a moderate level of time consuming question. It is easy level of time consuming, very easy, and moderate, and if D is there, so difficult. So what we can see in this first part, LR section. So these were four questions of coding and decoding. These five questions of coding and decoding, almost, let's say first question. First question was very easy. A little bit as far as time taking is concerned, little bit time it could have taken. But again, except this one, rest all of them, especially these three of them were a very easy category. The second was on based on EJOT. So again, that was also considered to be easy. So these five questions were overall easy questions of coding and decoding. After that, there are similarly direction sense questions were there, and five direction sense questions there, and all of them were very easy and very doable. So that's why even the difficulty level as well as the time consumption, both of them are easy. That means certainly it is very easy. Blood relations. So blood relations questions, three blood relations questions were there. So all three of them were easy. So again, quite doable. Now, in this particular paper, you would have seen that the lots of question based on arrangement and puzzles were there, and that is what you can expect in the paper also. So again, the circular arrangement questions, so three circular arrangement question, one set was there. It was quite doable. Usually circular arrangement questions are difficult, but these were easy. Linear arrangement questions, again, these three linear arrangement questions were easy. After that, puzzle was there. So puzzle, this 5 question puzzle was although easy, but little bit time taking. That's why I wrote moderate level as far as time consumption is concerned. After that, again, this circular arrangement question, again, easy as well as time consumption, moderate. 3 questions were there. Puzzles, again, in this puzzle, only one question was little bit time consuming, except quite doable. Similarly, if we'll go for the questions, so you can see that the puzzle, again, the 2 questions of the previous puzzle, they were easy, quite doable. Circular arrangement questions. Now, again, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So many questions of circular arrangement is there. And all of them here for these questions, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These 8 questions, I can say that they were little bit time taking, but they were quite doable. So again, we will consider it as one of the doable sets. But yes, now when you will see the data structure question. So data structure question were difficult. I would say difficult as well as time taking. So strategically, you should not have solved these questions. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions were there. So irrespective of number of questions, 5 were there. I think even if you would have left it, that is fine. And the next moment you would have realized that, okay, why I wasted time here? I have so many questions of mathematical operation and these were quite easy. So out of these 5 mathematical operation questions, 3 were quite easy. 2 of them were a little bit moderate as far as time taking is concerned. But yeah, overall, it was quite doable. After that, decision making question is a little bit confusing. And so that's why even the difficulty level I have given moderate, and this is time taking. So again, you can say that these 5 questions you would have left easily as far as strategy is concerned. So guys, now whatever we have seen as a question mapping, now just I'm going to simplify it in one format. If I will talk about the number of easy questions, so 23 easy questions are there. So out of 23, what was my expectation? That 17 to 20 is something that is quite doable. So even if you're doing 17, I'm fine with that because we are in the stage of improving ourselves. Okay. Moderate 20 questions. Again, these were moderate 20 questions, but it is not like a difficult moderate questions and quite possible. Some of them are a little bit time taking. That's why they are in the category of moderate. So out of 20, 14 to 16 is doable. Moderate and little bit more time consuming question, there were 7. So out of that, even if you could have solved 3 to 4, even if you haven't touched even a single question of a difficult category, I'm fine with that. So if you'll see 23 plus 20, the 43 plus 7, 50 plus 5, 55 questions. These 55 questions were of logical reasoning, non-verbal. So logical reasoning, non-verbal, out of these 55 questions, you could have solved 34 to 40. So guys, those of you who are still feeling pressure, sir, kitna question hota hai, kitna kare isme se? Is it possible? Yes, boss, it is possible. You can see that if 55 mein somebody is solving 34 question, that means he is still not doing 21 question. So 21 question out of 55 question is a big deal. So the बड़ा percentage हो गया. So again, अगर इतने question miss करने का भी option है, so it is something I don't think it's a big deal here. You can achieve it. But yeah, what is important is time. Yes, you have to manage it in 40 minutes. So Deepak sir have given you 10 minutes. for his verbal part, and again a 40-minute for non-verbal part. So you could have given total 50-minute to reasoning part. This is about reasoning strategy. Now let's come to the abstract reasoning. It is, and this is something, this is going to happen every time. Abstract reasoning is going to be typical in nature, and believe me, if you have a regular practice of abstract reasoning, you are going to the master of this thing, and this is something you can easily score here. Only one thing that should be in your mind very clear: you should not solve every question. If you find some question is difficult, you should have ability to leave it. That is also very important. So when you will see the question number 76 to rather I can say the 85, even 95, all of them were easy, except these questions were, you can say, little bit time taking were there of moderate level. Again, these questions were also time taking, so time taking it was there. So in this question, what you could have done, you could have left these 5 questions mirror based questions, and rest questions was doable. So within that case, but yes, speed is required, and speed will come with the practice. Sir, कैसे होगा? So that is why I'm going to give you 25 marks दे रहे हैं. 25 marks दे रहे हैं, मतलब ये exact marks को अगर add कर लूँ और तुम्हारे take homes को, all of you, I hope you have started solving take home tests also. So again, those are really a good source of practice. So keep practicing. You will find at the end of your preparation, you will be able to solve so many questions. And it जो अभी लग रहा होगा कि ये possible नहीं है, you are going to see it is possible. So that is why what I will suggest here, out of 15 easy question, you could have solved 13 to 15. Even if you are solving all 15, fine. Moderate 5 question out of moderate 3 to 4 questions, just because a little bit time taking. That's why I kept it in moderate. Moderate, little bit time consuming, even if 1 to 2. So now what is the range of the question that you could have solved? Your expected attempts is 17 to 20, and that too in 15 minutes. फिर बोलता हूँ, अगर लग रहा है कि नहीं possible है, don't worry, possible है, बिल्कुल possible है. I am telling you, this is possible. Yes, through practice. It is not just by thinking कि possible है तो हो जाएगा. Practice is required, and practice you are going to get it. And this is something, a gold mine. Getting score of 70 to 20 from the investment of 15 minutes is certainly going to be a game changer. So again, यहाँ पे एक दिमाग में रखना ये चीज, इसको lightly भी नहीं लेने का, over दिमाग पे भी नहीं लेने का. ये visual reasoning कुछ नहीं, बहुत आसान है, सबसे आसान है, बच्चों वाला क्वेश्चन होता है. So again, let's come to the Q&A. Again, in Q&A, if you'll see, like question by question, first quantitative comparison question, that was probability based. It was very easy. Probability का बिल्कुल बच्चों वाला question, बहुत कम time taking, doable. Quantitative comparison of based percentage, it was very easy. Again, PNC little bit conceptual clarity is required. So इसीलिए usually I have seen those of you who don't like PNC, again they will find it difficult or moderate. So ठीक है. इसके बाद there was a question based on quadratic equation, quantitative comparison. It was quite doable. Quadratic equation बस एक solve करना था. Linear equation was more easier than this. So even quadratic equation से भी आसान था linear equation. So linear equation was quite very easy, as well as very less time consuming as well. So compound interest, there was a question compound interest for those of you again who practiced well. They would have solved it very easily. But yeah, I may consider it moderate level. थोड़ा बहुत time taking था. So in that case, you can consider it moderate level. Now, what were the difficult part with the caselets? अब यहाँ पे देख रहे हो caselet में सब जगह difficult है. तो ये caselets were difficult. Although caselets में बहुत सारे question थे, ये 2 caselets में इतने सारे question हैं. But again, they were time taking. So since they were time taking, so again in that case, even if you are not solving them, I am fine with that. क्योंकि मुझे वहाँ पे time लगा के अगर marks ना आए, there is no point. Now there are table-based questions. So table-based question was easy, little bit time-taking calculation था. अब calculation में यहाँ पे ये था कि calculations were connected. So quite possible that you will start doing calculation. So that is going to be useful in other questions also. So that's why ये table कह सकते हो. In that case, it was doable. But yeah, हल्का सा तो तुम्हारा moderate level of time-taking था. That was for table-based question. Let's come to this one again. वही moderate and time-taking, सारे moderate and time-taking. So these again were time taking थे. तो again even if you are not solving it, ये question 120 से start हो रहा था ये set. All of them were moderate as well as time taking. So even if you are not solving or you're solving at the end, that is perfectly fine. Caselet again difficult. अब यहाँ पे एक और चीज, learning. अब यहाँ पे क्या होगा ना, आज के बाद से all of you will start having a fear कि caselet difficult होता है. ऐसा कुछ नहीं. Don't make any mindset like this कि this always caselet is going to be difficult. In this paper, caselets were difficult. So you should not generalize it for every paper. Quite possible there will be a paper where caselet may be easy. So again, be open with the idea. Even if you have to judge question on the basis of merit rather than any mindset that you created just because of 1 or 2 odd papers that you have written in the past. So that is very important thing that you have to keep in the mind. So difficult time taking caselets were there. So again, now data sufficiency, surprisingly, usually data sufficiencies are very easy, and that is what the mindset of the students are, कि data sufficiency तो हो ही जाएगा. But again, data sufficiency, if you will see that these two data sufficiency were difficult as well as time taking. So again, अगर इसको नहीं भी करते तो चलता. Data sufficiency rest three questions were of moderate level as well as time taking also. So again, अगर देखा जाए तो data sufficiency इतना आसान नहीं था. Now, what was the best part with the maths all part? Like यहाँ पे allegation mixture question, it was very easy. Linear equation, very easy. Again, there are some miscellaneous type of question based on more than one concept. So again, there are, that was of moderate level. Again, PNC was easy, little bit time taking. Again, allegation mixture question was easy, little bit time taking. PNC again moderate and time taking. So even if you would have missed it, that is perfectly fine. Average question was as usual. Average is easy topic और easy था. Miscellaneous के चार क्वेश्चन थे यहाँ पे, दो कॉन्सेप्ट मिक्स करके, अगर यूजुअली वो अर्थमेटिक के ही क्वेश्चंस थे, those were quite doable. So ये चारों क्वेश्चन जो है, all of them were doable of miscellaneous. Probability question, again this was of moderate level, little bit time taking, so even if you have left it, that is fine. TSD question was very easy. TSD again one moderate level question was there, so अगर इसको छोड़ भी देते तो चलता. Partnership was very easy. Profit and loss very easy. अब देखो यहाँ पे अगर मैंने इनको मिस भी किया है, if I'm solving these questions properly, numbers very easy, simple interest compound is very easy. So अगर देखो तो this was the you can say classification of question mapping. So now what could happen in the strategy? Easy question, 21 questions, around 21 questions were easy. Out of that, my expectation was at least 18 to 19 क्वेश्चन हो सकता है. सर हो सकता है क्या? बिल्कुल हो सकता है. मेरे से तो आज कल बिल्कुल ना हो. आज से मेरे से 21 में मेरे से 12 हुए. आप बोल रहे हो 18, 19. Is it possible? Will I able to reach there? First, I'm telling you, this is starting phase of preparation. You have to keep working. So again, the moment you reach at that stage, it is not going to happen just overnight. It is going to, you have to birth the midnight oil. So in order to achieve it, but it is quite achievable. That is something I can assure you. Moderate question 10 है, 10 में से 7-8 क्वेश्चन कर सकते थे. Again, moderate and time consuming 6 question, 3 to 4 question from that. Difficult 13 questions. Even if you are solving 1 to 2 out of that, that is fine. Even if you're not solving, I'm okay with that. So around total 29 to 33 question you could have achieved in 30 minutes. I know this is less time. This 30 minutes, 30 minutes में इतना, अरे सोच के देखो, there are, let's say, even if 10 to 12 questions that you end up solving in 30 seconds. So again 6 minutes पे तुमने 12 क्वेश्चन कर लिए, तुम्हारे पास बहुत सारा टाइम बचा है, 24 मिनट बचे हुए हैं. 24 मिनट में तुम्हारे पास यहाँ पे 17 क्वेश्चन और करने, या तुम्हारे 21 क्वेश्चन और करने. So now you have more time to invest in those questions. So it's all about selection. And again, selecting question and wisely investing time in that, and so that you can save time and you can invest that time, extra time, in some difficult question. So that is how you have to manage the whole thing, and you will able to get the score. So 29 to 33, 30 मिनट चलो तुमको लगता है थोड़ा कम है, तो यहाँ पे 1-2 मिनट बढ़ाओ, कहीं से कर्टेल करके रीजनिंग में 2 मिनट कम कर दो, यहाँ पे कौन 2 मिनट बढ़ा चलेगा. बट अगेन यस, anyhow we have to achieve it. That is what the purpose of all this analysis and everything. I hope you guys are getting it. It is not something like कि आज से ही सोचना स्टार्ट कर दो. सर ने तो बोला था 29 to 33 और मेरे तो 12 ही क्वेश्चन अटेम्प्ट होते हैं, तो फिर तो मेरा कुछ नहीं हो सकता ऐसा. दिस इज रॉन्ग guys. This is where you have to reach, and wherever you are, it is very important that just go further and gain some more steps, and go nearer to the final goal, and you will realize later on that you are going to reach the final goal. अब ये बिल्कुल ऐसे काम चलते रहेगा, इसमें बिल्कुल सोचने का नहीं है. You are right, just keep putting effort, you will reach the destination. That is something I can assure you. Overall, this is something, again, only 120 minute was there for the paper. So expected attempt 120 to 130. पॉसिबल है कैसा? बिल्कुल पॉसिबल है. विजुअल रीजनिंग बहुत कम टाइम में हो रहा है तुम्हारा. मैथ्स के भी क्वेश्चन तुम 30 मिनट में 30 क्वेश्चन करने वाले हो. So even if the 85% accuracy, you can expect 102, so 110. So your score is going to be somewhere around this. So now, if you'll ask me about the percentile, so what the percentile I can predict on this, 99.5 is you're going to get somewhere around 105. So 105, and somebody who is getting anything like 125 plus, so is certainly going to be going to get you can say 100 percentile and near around that. सो दोज ऑफ यू मस्ट बी थिंकिंग कि जेबीआईएमएस के लिए कितना आएगा, तो जेबीआईएमएस के लिए आप समझ लो कि यहाँ से इधर से 99.93, सो 99.93 मतलब 120 के आसपास आपका स्कोर होना चाहिए। बट ठीक है, अभी अपने को उस चीज़ का लोड नहीं लेना है, बट दिस इज व्हाट आई वांट टू कन्वे in this particular analysis. I hope again you would have learned a little bit from this. There are a few things that you have to learn from this selection of question में। अब इतना सारा जो मैंने क्लासिफिकेशन किया है, how it is going to be advantageous to you, okay just go and do your classification and find कि अच्छा सर तो बोले थे easy है, क्यों बोले थे easy है, मुझे तो difficult लग रहा है। So again there may be a chance, that means quite possible you wouldn't have you can say solve that type of question, so that's why you find that difficult. That means a little bit of solving of that type of question is required. Second thing, now sense of urgency will also come through the mocks. Now in this mock you would have seen that in the reasoning there are ample question of puzzles and reasonings, arrangement based questions were there. So now all of a sudden that sense of urgency will also get created. Okay, मुझे तो अब थोड़े से puzzles और arrangement पे भी थोड़ा सा stress देना है। Okay, go ahead do. केसलेट सर, इससे पहले केसलेट कभी सॉल्व ही नहीं किया। व्हाट इफ अगर एमएससीटी में आ गया केसलेट, तो बोलोगे वहां पे केसलेट सॉल्व नहीं किया है। एंड व्हाट इफ दोज आर इजी केसलेट्स, so don't you think it's a right time to just go and see some caselets also, so that you will have idea how to solve them? तो यहाँ पे caselets का भी idea लो। So overall simple सा logic है। 25 mocks you are going to write before you are going to face your real MSCET. By the 26th mock, that is your real MSCET, you should find now you're playing with the paper. And if you really want to play with the final paper, it is very important that you should enjoy the whole, all papers. You're not missing a single paper. Those of you who are really very serious about, please ensure that you're writing all 25 mocks, and that is more than enough for your preparation. With this particular thing, I would like to end this particular session. Thank you, all of you. Thank you, Deepak sir. Deepak sir, any thing that you want to add in case I would have missed something?
No, sir. You covered everything quite well, right? So the only thing that is again, whatever section or whatever analysis or whatever classification that we give, right? That is for a student. Rather, even if a student has not achieved that, then he should not be disheartened, right? If he's even achieving 60% of the target that we are giving, and if he keeps on working hard and makes a target कि हर मॉक में मैं अपना 10-10 क्वेश्चन से या 5-5 क्वेश्चन से अटेम्प्ट बढ़ाता जाऊंगा, एंड उन 5 में से 4 सही करने की कोशिश करूंगा, तो बाय द एंड ऑफ आई वुड से 15th mock he should आराम से रीच अराउंड 95-99% आंसर।
बिल्कुल सर, मतलब 95 तो आसानी से पहुंच जाएंगे। 99 चैलेंज है, 99 के लिए तो घिसना पड़ेगा, ऐसे नहीं है, घिसते रहो और भरोसा रखो अपने आप पे। सर मेरे दिमाग में एक क्वेश्चन आया, मतलब अगेन एज
हाँ सर।
मुझे कि सर ये तो आपने जो एनालिसिस किया, ये तो आपने पेपर को एनालाइज करके दे दिया।
हाँ
हम
सर।
एनालिसिस कैसा होना चाहिए एज ए स्टूडेंट? क्या मुझे पेपर पूरा पेपर सॉल्व करना है फिर से?
हाँ सर, वो तो करना ही है, राइट।
ओहो। हाँ हाँ।
एग्जाम जैसे पेपर के टाइम पे मैंने सपोज बोला कि सेकेंड आरसी है, वो हम
हम्म
पेपर के टाइम पे नहीं टाइम स्पेंड करेंगे उसके ऊपर, राइट।
हम्म
लॉजिकल रीजनिंग में क्रिटिकल रीजनिंग के क्वेश्चन है, शायद पेपर करते वक्त वी वुड नॉट स्पेंड टाइम ओवर देयर, राइट। या
हम्म
पैराजंबल है जो लेंदी लगा मुझे, तो वो
हम्म।
मैं पेपर के टाइम पे नहीं करूंगा, बट देन पेपर खत्म होने के बाद तो मैं सॉल्व करूंगा यार, राइट। बिकॉज
ओके।
पेपर खत्म होने के बाद मैं सॉल्व करूंगा, तब मुझे रियलाइज होगा ना कि
और इसका एक एडवांटेज भी
क्या
मैंने
ये।
देखा है समटाइम्स। सॉरी सर, मतलब मुझे अच्छा एक
हाँ हाँ सर, बोलो 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 बोलो।
एडवांटेज क्या देखा कि लेट्स से आफ्टर पेपर आई एंड अप सॉल्विंग 20 मोर क्वेश्चन, देन आई रियलाइज कि बॉस ये 20 नंबर भी मेरे ही थे।
हाँ मतलब
अभी
इट
तो
इज
मैंने।
जस्ट दैट कि मेरे को ये आता था बट मेरे पास टाइम नहीं था।
करेक्ट। सो गाइज इट इज रियली वेरी यूजफुल एंड वन थिंग दैट वुड सजेस्ट कि अगर 2 आवर का पेपर है तो कम से कम 3 घंटे तो अपना सॉल्विंग करो। और एक
सॉल्व।
रिलेटेड सर, कि
हाँ
अगर
सर।
पेपर के बाद सॉल्व करूं तो टाइमर लगा के करूं क्या?
नहीं सर, पेपर के बाद अगर सॉल्व कर रहे हैं तो शांति से सॉल्व करो, बिकॉज वहां पे हम अपनी गलतियां ढूंढने के लिए सॉल्व कर रहे हैं। वहां पे हम घड़ी को चैलेंज नहीं कर रहे हैं, घड़ी को तो चैलेंज हमने पेपर के टाइम कर ही लिया है।
करेक्ट करेक्ट सर। ग्रेट सर।
सर, तो इसलिए बस हमें गलतियां मिल जाए और सेम गलतियां वी शुड नॉट बी रिपीटिंग इन द नेक्स्ट पेपर, तो बहुत आसान हो गया। जैसे आपने बोला कि केसलेट्स या इस बार 2 डीएस के क्वेश्चंस डिफिकल्ट निकले, राइट? तो अगर इनको यहाँ से ये सीख मिल जाए कि डीएस के क्वेश्चन भी डिफिकल्ट आ सकते हैं, तो आई वुड बी केयरफुल इन माय नेक्स्ट मॉक एज फार एज डीएस इज कंसर्न्ड। ये आंखें बंद करके डीएस में नहीं घुस जाऊंगा, राइट? और सर मजा तब आएगा कि जब अगले पेपर में केसलेट इजी आए।
नहीं, दिस इज नॉट अ हिंट, इवन वी डोंट नो व्हाट इज गोइंग टू द नेक्स्ट पेपर, बट ये सर
हाँ
ने
सर।
सही है, ऐसा नहीं कि सब लोग सोच के बैठे हो कि केसलेट जाएगा नेक्स्ट में। बट यस या गाइस, आई होप, और यहाँ पे काम करते रहो यार, मजा आएगा। अभी तो मार्च में लिखना है अभी, एंड वी आर स्टिल इन द स्टार्टिंग ऑफ जनवरी। अच्छा, मैं तो हैप्पी न्यू ईयर कहना भूल गया, हैप्पी न्यू ईयर टू ऑल ऑफ यू। सो अभी तो स्टार्ट है
हाँ,
जनवरी।
हैप्पी न्यू ईयर।
हाँ, जनवरी फेब, और उसका मार्च तक जाते जाते तो अपन ने बहुत कुछ कर लिया होगा। कीप वर्किंग। ओके सर।
चलो सर,
चलो,
चलो सो
थैंक यू
गाइस,
सर।
कीप
गुड नाइट
वर्किंग, गुड
एवरीवन।
नाइट। चलो।